Okay, next we've got the supplement ranking.
Cool. So, doing a little bit of a ranking, and how I'm going to base this is off most of the research. So, is it research backed, really? So, first one, gotta be creatine in that top tier. Like we said already, most research, most scientific backed, helps improve power, endurance, strength, build lean mass. One of, obviously, if you've checked Inform Sport, don't be buying it off Amazon, but one of the most research backed supplements out there. So it's got to be in that top tier for me. The other one that I would put within that tier would be protein powders. Again, I think in terms of depend on how you're going to use it, from a food first point of view, always try and get a mixed meal in as that kind of post-event meal to help support that recovery, because most of these you're going to be getting 30 grams of protein. But it's ideal if you're using that whey protein in particular within that hour after training or after an event because of the quick action. So we've got whey protein, casein protein, slightly different types. Whey will be fast acting, casein will be slow acting. So using that whey protein within that kind of hour after that helps to speed up that recovery process and support that muscle protein synthesis. Within that as well, again, probably put electrolyte tabs. Again, same sort of rationale really, backed by research, used quite widely across different sports. Again, it's just taking into consideration why you're using it, when you're using it, and not overusing them as well. And if we're going into, let's go start at the bottom actually. So I'll move these out so they're a little bit more widespread. So turmeric and ginger, I'll probably put those towards the bottom, mainly because the research isn't there at this current moment in time. But like I said, when we were talking about them in that section, there's more research to come. They're still fairly new to the market, in particular when it comes to supplements. In a few years' time, we might be moving them up the tiers, but at this current moment in time, that response to recovery and that anti-inflammatory response, the depth of that data and that research just isn't there at this moment in time. Tart cherry juice, I'm going to put it slightly higher alongside the beetroot, mainly because in terms of thinking about a practical application, particularly more in elite sports and elite athletes, as we mentioned with the beetroot juices and the powders, there are responders and non-responders. So whether it will definitely give that additional benefit is perhaps subjective, but in that elite performance, when you're trying to, well, the difference between first and second could be a matter of small percentages. It could provide that additional benefit, and it might not lead to any kind of negative complications as long as you can tolerate it with your GI. So that'd be the rationale to put that beetroot juice in there. Tart cherry juice, again, there's a fair amount of research into it. Really helps with that anti-inflammatory response post and reducing that muscle soreness, particularly with the polyphenols in there. Polyphenols, again, been researched quite well and quite extensively. So again, probably towards that upper end of the scale. Omega-3s I'm going to put towards a kind of middle range with the multivitamins, mainly because omega-3s and multivits, if your diet is optimal, and you're thinking about your diet and where you're getting your omega-3s from, you're eating a wide variety of your fruits and vegetables on a day-to-day basis, it's going to help to make sure that you're maximising that vitamin and mineral, that micronutrient intake. Because effectively these two in particular, most of these you're going to be getting from your food sources, even say for example your whey proteins, things like that. But ultimately with these, they shouldn't be replacing food within your diet. They can be used, like I said, the omega-3s if you particularly struggle with fish intake or you're allergic to fish, for example, to make sure we're getting in those essential fatty acids. But for me, kind of more towards that middling tier realistically in comparison to these that would be that kind of top tier aspect.